Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of What Matters, dated Wednesday, 22nd September 2021. As always, it's Kong Yu on the program. And this hour, speaking about creating tomorrow's sustainable startups. How so? Well, we're going to find out from the group CEO of Cradle Funds in Berhad. I have with me Rafiza Ghazali, who joins me by the phone lines today. Thank you so much for being with us. Good morning.
Hi, morning, Kong Yu. Nice to be here.
We appreciate you taking time out for your busy schedule. So, thank you so much for being on the show today as we talk about how Cradle Fund, right, is assisting in this, essentially creating tomorrow's sustainable startups by specifically in this case, I understand, participation in the Dubai Expo 2020. This is to demonstrate the country's commitment to sustainable development and also eco-innovation. I understand the Expo this year, which is actually supposed to be last year, is themed Connecting Minds, Creating the Future, and with the three sub-themes of mobility, opportunity, and also sustainability, right? Let's talk more about that. I'm going to pass it over to you, right, Rafiza, to shed light and share more on the Dubai Expo 2020. Tell us more.
Okay. Thanks, Kong Yu. Anyway, thanks for having me here.
You're welcome.
Just to give you a little bit of a context to some who may not be so familiar with World Expo. This is one of the biggest, in fact, I think it's the biggest World Expo, and it's normally held, it's usually held every 5 years, right? So last year they had it, the last one, which was 2015, they held it in Milan. And then in 2013, Dubai was awarded to host the World Expo, and hence why it's called Dubai Expo 2020. And like you rightfully said, it was supposed to be held last year, but because of the pandemic, but they still kept the name Dubai 2020. I get a lot of people ask, why is it called, 2020, but it's been held in 21 and 22, right?
It's like the Olympics and the Paralympics.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't really change because it's been branded, and the government has, in fact, it's participated by 191 countries. So the branding has always been known as Dubai 2020, so they kept the name. Now, Malaysia is obviously, one of the countries participating, and it is led by the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. So they are the lead ministry. But that doesn't mean that it's just MOSTI. This is a Malaysian expo. This is not a MOSTI expo. And MOSTI just happened to be the lead ministry. And it's participated by all the various ministries, state governments, name it, the whole country.
Right.
And it's going to be held for, from 1st of October, so that's the starting, and then all the way until next year, 31st March 2020. So it's not, it's not a 1 week, 2 week thing. Now, where Cradle comes in, as you know, Cradle is a Ministry of Finance Inc. Company, but we report to the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. So we are supporting MOSTI. So this is not a Cradle's event, by the way. This is a MOSTI event, but it just we happen to lead it.
Right.
But it's co-curated with 4 other funding agencies, and we're all under MOSTI. So we've got, the Malaysian venture capital arm, which is called MASCAP, the Malaysian debt venture called Malaysian Debt Venture. We've got the Technology Commercial Funding Agency, non-ICT, which is MTDC, Malaysian Technology Development Corporation. And lastly, we have Kumpulan Modal Perdana. So it's co-curated. And the whole idea week 2 is to really showcase the Malaysian startup ecosystem. Right. And hence why, as some of you may not be so familiar, but, we've all got our different strengths, like Cradle in the form of grants, MASCAP, venture capital, etc., and all of us, we support the Malaysian startup ecosystem. So that's why the theme for week 2, which is actually led by MOSTI, is called, creating tomorrow's sustainable startup. Yeah. So the whole idea is to showcase, even though, yes, we will be physically showcasing 17 of our Malaysian startups, over there. So there's going to be booth and opportunity for business matching, opportunity for meeting investors, etc. But I just want to stress upon the fact that this is not just showcasing 17 startups, for funding agencies and, 2-3 corporates. No, it is about showcasing Malaysian startup ecosystem. So we'll also be, talking about, startups that may not be physically there, but, these are renowned startups in Malaysia and really, tell the whole world, what Malaysian can offer with respect to, investment opportunity, networking opportunity, adopting technology by these startups or any other startups. So even though we're just going to be here for week 2, but what we want to make sure that, the conversation and the networking, continues beyond week 2.
Yeah.
Because, because
Right.
there's a page just by the section, and, it gives opportunity for at any time, any point in time, anyone can get in touch with us or any of the participating agency or the VCs, that we're going to be showcasing to talk about Malaysian startups. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some of the details and the logistics, right, for our listeners who are tuning in right now. So week 2 is the week that is led by Malaysia, right? And you guys and, of course, the other agencies as well. What are the dates for that?
Okay. Malaysian participation will be for the entire 6 months. Okay, from 1st October to end of March 2022. Now, so week 2, it just happened. It has a focus that's on startups and led by MOSTI. So so there's going to be a number of there's going to be a product launch. We have Aerodyne having their product launch on that date, on the first day. We have a number of MOU exchanges. So the way how we've curated the itinerary is that we give opportunity for those who are already in discussion with potential partners or investors, and then what they do, on during this time, they're just going to sign the docs. Yeah.
Okay, so it has a whole gamut of activities in itineraries, the MOUs, like you mentioned, and of course the various other components as well. Now, how does one become part of it? With the advent of the pandemic, we've seen a lot more accessibility when it comes to being able to participate in something long distance. So share with us, how can people participate and also have a peek into what's happening?
Okay. If you want to know about the entire Expo, there is a website dedicated for it. It's called Dubai Expo 2020. And then what we have a special section on Malaysian Expo as well. And the website is www.malaysiaexpo2020.com. Now, in there, it has all the various links. In fact, the whole entire, the entire program is designed that you can dial in from anywhere. So, all the panels, whatever, it's going to be, it's going to be streamed live, and we will also record so that people can also watch it in the future. If you go into the website, there are special links, or if not, you can go on the MOSTI's Facebook page and Cradle's Facebook page. Now, Cradle's Facebook page is just going to feature week 2. So if you want to see the entire 6 months, you can go into the MOSTI's Facebook page. And the Dubai Expo Malaysian Pavilion, they also have a dedicated Facebook page as well. So you can just, search for it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for elaborating on the information sources, because we are talking about a 6 months expo. Which is exciting when it comes to the amount of information as well as the type of different areas it's going to address. In your case, or MOSTI's case, for startups per se, but so much more to delve into. But of course, therein lies the part of the challenge of searching for the relevant pieces of information.
Just go to Cradle Facebook, and then there's been a lot of social media promotion for week 2. Yeah.
Okay, nice, right? So we're going to go for a very short break here. I'm going to just put you on hold for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? And then when we come back, more with the group CEO of Cradle Funds in Berhad, all about the Dubai Expo 2020, specifically the week 2, with the theme of creating tomorrow's sustainable startups. More information and thoughts and ideas from Rafiza when we come back in a few moments right here on What Matters.
This is What Matters, and you are tuned in to TraXX FM.
With more than 500 species of flora and fauna.
It's Southeast Asia's only tropical spice garden.
Visit Penang 98.7.
TraXX FM.
This is What Matters, and you are tuned in to TraXX FM.
That's right. It's Kong Yu this hour, joined by Rafiza Ghazali, who is the Group CEO of Cradle Funds in Berhad, talking about the Dubai Expo 2020 Week 2, specifically with the theme of creating tomorrow's sustainable startups. And we've spoken about the overall background as well as the number of participating startups, etc. And of course, welcoming back via the phone lines with us, Rafiza. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Morning, Kogyu.
Right. Appreciate you taking time out from your busy schedule to be with us. Yeah.
No worries.
As we're talking about the theme, and with the developments, global developments in the past 18 months, right? So the push is there in terms of Malaysia transitioning, or rather going into, maybe we shouldn't really use the word transitioning, going into the digital age, right? Like super cao,
Yes.
and with that sense of urgency, and yet also, rightfully with the theme of the whole Expo Dubai, right? 2020,
Yes.
which is basically connecting minds, creating the future, but also having the cornerstone of sustainability and sustainable development. So
Yeah.
I know this is probably a very broad and a big question, but how do we actually put all those pieces together in balance? We're talking about pushing towards the digital age, going really into it, yet at the same time maintaining sustainability as a very important cornerstone of, overall sustainability goals.
Yeah. So as you know, with the digital age nowadays, there is just no option of not being digital if
Exactly.
you want to survive, if you want to continue to be relevant, right? So the digital is sort of like, the what we call it is already the basic technology or the basic business model that one should be in if they want to make sure that they remain relevant. And another, for us, especially at Cradle and especially at MOSTI, and also the Malaysian government, as you can see, the reason why we choose the theme sustainability is that, if you want to remain relevant again in the future, sustainability is not an option anymore, because with the rapid change, urgency with respect to climate change, one needs to make sure that if you want to be commercially minded and be relevant in the future, you need to incorporate sustainability business model in your business, and hence why for this particular Dubai Expo, we stress highly on creating sustainability startups. Yeah.
Well, what would you say is the crux, the most important fundamental towards this? Being digitally sustainable or sustainably digitally? I mean, we talk about the internet, the cyberspace, the internet of all things. And it is cyberspace. There's no real sort of tangible material grasp to it. But yet, of course, there's a lot of power and energy that is dedicated towards keeping it alive. And that's probably where the major linkage is, isn't it? It's actually to sustainable resources when it comes to power generation, electricity to power the internet, etc.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, especially if you're not very familiar with sustainability, they always have the first impression, it's got to be green. It's not necessary. Sustainability is about creating positive impact. Both to economy, planet, prosperity. It's all about creating positive impact. Investing responsibility. We want to make sure that, of course, like I said, these are all business ventures, so they need to be commercially viable.
Right.
But at the same time, we need to make sure that their business model is is designed in a responsible manner, that you look into the preservation and conservation of the future, that you're not, creating negative impact to the people, planet, it's all about creating positive impact. We want to instill that, to everyone, how important it is, to be like again, I said, it's all about being relevant. And that's one of the things which, MOSTI feels very strongly with.
That's right. And I think another core to it all is actually efficiency, yeah?
Yes.
And
Efficiency.
minimizing wastage of resources, energy.
Optimizing resources.
Exactly.
You're not wasting. You're talking about circular economy. You're talking about renewables. Making sure that, and that's the reason why like our pavilion, right, Malaysian pavilion is net zero carbon pavilion. And we've got to show leadership and examples, on our commitment on sustainability.
Nice. Now, and as we wrap up for today, right, just getting back into the details as the programs and also the itinerary at Dubai Expo 2020 Week 2. Share with us again, how would you advise people to make full use of what is happening there? Some of it, of course, it's not so relevant to the public per se. So what's your advice?
Okay. The best is to go to www.malaysiaexpo2020.com. In that, it has a wealth of information on all the various programs and activities, that's going to be happening over the 6 months. And you can pick and choose, depending on your preference, your priority, and what we need to make sure is the maximum audience as possible. So everything is, available digitally. So you don't need to be in Dubai itself. Yeah.
Right. Nice. Right. So, check out the link, like Rafiza was saying, and see which part is relevant, and hopefully with participation is actually so much more convenient these days. If there's one major push towards events from the pandemic, it's actually now making it a lot more accessible and available online and via the internet. Yeah.
Inclusive in an inclusive manner as well.
That's right. Yeah, and I think that's also part of what we've discussed. Really, is improving the efficiency of delivery, and also, like, I guess a small positive that we see out of this is the elimination of unnecessary ground events, lah.
Yes. Wasting, how much time sometimes you wasted traveling, and then, it's the audience limited.
That's
only
right.
Those who have the time. But now, anyone can have access to it. And you can pick and choose, at your own leisure and at your own convenience. Yeah.
Correct.
So as long as you have a strong internet connection, that's all you need.
Exactly. That is the key, right? Well, it was lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much for being with us. Any final messages for our listeners today, on behalf of MOSTI or even Cradle Fund? Yep.
Yes. This is all about showcasing Malaysia at a global event. So, it'll be good to have everyone's support. So that's all we need from everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All the best with the week 2 of the Expo. Yeah,
thanks for you.
You're welcome. Take care.
Nice chatting with you.
Same here.
Okay. Bye.
Rafiza Ghazali, Group CEO of Cradle Funds in Berhad, speaking about the Dubai Expo 2020, which is essentially a MOSTI-led event, especially for week 2 of the entire Dubai Expo 2020, which is a 6 months long expo. So do check out all the relevant sites that Rafiza briefed us about, because when we are looking for information, the information is probably out there, especially when it comes to sustainable startups and related activities. Yeah, so do check that out. And meanwhile, that's a wrap to this week's What Matters. Lots more to come right here on TraXX Momentum, so keep it tuned and keep it locked right here on TraXX FM. Good morning.